The reason I picked up a guitar, one of several reasons, right? Like, I was really big into all the metal bands, right? Black Sabbath, was into Zakk Wylde, I was into Iron Maiden, and who doesn't want to be a rock star, right? But the main one that really got me was I was a big sports player in high school, middle school, elementary, played all the sports, and I was going to class one day and I had looked over and I saw this guy playing a guitar and I saw lots of girls around him and they were just sitting there just watching him. And it just kind of struck me. I was like, man, is it that easy? Like, it was just that quick. And I literally picked up the guitar the next day and I haven't stopped since. Then I started to realize that I played guitar so much because it was my outlet, right? It was my way of getting things out. It was my way of speaking without having to say a word. I can do everything through my guitar, whether I was happy, sad, whether it was something funny, you heard it through my guitar. And that has helped me even to this day. I'm 39, I started when I was 14, and there hasn't been a day where I don't pick up a guitar.
I'll be your gypsy, baby. I can never stay.
So I've never really taken guitar lessons up until maybe like a year ago. Sporadically here and there through friends, but as far as formal traditional lessons, I've never had not a single one. My grandmother was really the biggest role for me sticking with guitar and learning guitar. She used to live back in Panama. She used to live across the street from the symphony that would do all kinds of music weekly. Like, I'm talking, the violins, the whole orchestra, the whole knot. And she used to have a piano, and her goal would just be to try to follow along from what she heard. And the way she told me was just, you have to listen to the music, right? Because if you don't listen to it, you'll never be able to do it. And by listening, we had a little game that we always played, and she would turn on the radio. This is back before we had, iPods and YouTube and stuff like that. But we would turn on the radio, and she'd give me the guitar, and my goal would be to learn whether it was the melody or the root of the song, or just be able to play along with whatever that song was by the time it was over, because you didn't get a rewind button. And that helped me learn music through ear. And I will say that is the best way to learn. And then you incorporate your, what are the roots, what are the keys, what are, I'm going into the nerdy stuff here, like what are your relative minors and stuff like that, what are the scales. But as far as lessons, it's really, and I still do this to this day, I'll just put on a song or I'll just play anything and I'll just try to pick it up. And obviously certain songs are easier, certain songs are not. But having done that for 10 years before I joined a band 100% helped me. And I still implement that in my daily practices. It's just the power of the ear.
And this won't be the last time that I'll pack my bags and go. I never meant to hurt you.
All right, what's up, guys? I'm Jay Deering Jr. or Jeff Deering, whichever one. I'm still the same person. I'm a local musician here in Fredericksburg. Haven't always been here in Fredericksburg. I'm born and raised in Panama. And then I was stationed in the military in Colorado for a while. And then I moved out here. I was in Iraq, too, for 15 months. So coming out of Iraq, I didn't touch or do any kind of music for about 3 or 4 years, probably even longer than that. And what helped me get out of my funk and dealing with everything from Iraq was picking up a guitar again. As a veteran, especially veterans nowadays and all the guys that I know, we're not one for talking about things. We're always met with like, whoa, that's a little heavy, bud. So I was able to basically get everything out by never having to say a word. So music definitely helped save my life more than one time. But that was the big pinnacle for me to actually keep driving and pushing into doing music. My first time on stage was with my first band that I joined up. It was Tyler James' band. And we did it, and it was this old kind of like rusty, kind of almost like a little mom and pop store, right? They had a bunch of knickknacks, they had some antique stuff, and they had this little stage, and they said it was about 40 people. And it doesn't seem like a lot, but you think you're ready, and then you get on there, and then, nerves are going, and then I just went for it. And I was terrified, but it actually ended up being really fun. And again, I didn't have to sing, so there was way less pressure. All I had to do was make sure I knew what I was doing, which is what I had been practicing. And then you start to look at the people who are watching you, and they're just in this cool zone that they're just listening to music, whether you think it's good or not. That was my first time on stage. Right. Now, the difference between just playing on stage and then now singing and playing on stage, that one wrecked me because, one, I was never comfortable with my voice. I have this weird thing in my head where I hate my voice. I get there and, I'm going and I'm a wreck. I am sweating and I almost backed out so many different times. But then again, it's like if you quit, you're going to quit on everything. Right, so you can't. You just got to go through. And even if you suck, it doesn't matter. You have to do it. You need that experience of a failure or a win. But if you fail, you don't really fail. You just learn how to not do it that way.
Every time's the last time. It's a road that...
It made me feel horrendous. I hated it the week prior, the day of. I think I had a fever. I was sweating. And it's one of those things, right, where like you get into this and you're like, okay, I got to be around people. I have to be very vulnerable, and I have to go in front of people that I don't know, and I have to put myself in a spot that goes, hey, judge me, because I'm about to try to give you a story through my song. And everything went through my head. Is my voice going to be good? I hated my voice. I don't really like to be around people, but I do because it's in the business that I do. I'm not saying that I hate people. It's just it's really hard for me, right? I'm kind of like this isolated guy. And then here you are going, hey, go in front of these, 100 people who don't know you, who are going to judge every second of your time on stage, whether you like it or not. And you have to just overcome that and just do it. Because if you don't, then what? You're just back in the room again and you're going, what if?
You're the only one, babe.
Beer. Maybe one or two. No, but in all seriousness, no. For me, the way I prepare is I have to show my kids, because I have kids, I have to show them that I can do it when you're scared. You can still do something when you're set. So I want to be a leader for my kids and let them know that, yeah, daddy's scared shitless, but he's still going to do it. And beer.
On my way. So let me love you, baby. The best that I...
So my songwriting process, to me, it's kind of sporadic. It's all over the place. Some days I'll just be sitting there strumming a guitar, and then bam, a line will hit me. And then I just kind of go off of that line. And I try to hammer it in as much as possible so that way I don't lose it. And I don't know about you guys, but I have to write everything down. Whether I think I'm going to remember it, because I'm not, I have to write it down immediately. Sometimes I'll just write a bunch of mumbo jumbo down and then kind of pick and choose what lines I want to use. Other times, I'll just be walking and I'll have no music and everything will happen, and then, again, a line will pop in my head. So that's probably my songwriting process. I think I've always kind of subconsciously, I wrote poems my whole life, and I would just write. And I was always told, if something's bothering you, kind of write it down, hash it all out. So what really made me start writing music was I came back from Iraq, and I was going through it, right? Troubled, whatever you want to call it. A lot of my buddies were troubled. And when I would write little just little songs here and there, I started to realize that I would get people coming up to me going, hey, I really resonate with what you said. That's hit me on a personal level. I've gone through it, or I am going through it. And then there was that, wait a minute. But what I write relates to people that are in my situation, that have been in my situation. And that kind of kick-started it from there. I just began writing and writing and writing. I think a lot of people can resonate with what I'm saying. And if I can change even just one person's life, or just have some person come up to me and say, hey, I love that song and I really love this line because it really resonates to what I got going on in my life, that's a win for me all day long. It helps me so much, and that's my therapy, right? I have to get stuff out. I have to get the demons that are out here, whether it's on paper or whether it's shouting them out into a song. And I'm not here to cure anybody or everybody, but if I can help me through my songwriting and that resonates and that reaches somebody else that helps them, that's an even bigger bonus. It just kind of either comes to me right then and there, or I'll be listening to something and I can go, well, what could I add that's not that song, right? So I'll listen to a song. So for example, my song Gypsy Heart. That song came about not because it was a story that I knew or that I wanted to even write a song. I was listening to one of my favorite songs, Colder Weather by Zach Brown. Pretty sure you've all heard it. And he's kind of describing, whoever he's portraying that to be. The main takeaway from that was the guy was a runner, right? He wanted the love. He wanted to love his girl or his wife. but he felt like it was either too much for him, so he would run when things got hard. So I started writing Gypsy Heart as kind of a sequel to that. Like, what if we tell the story about the guy after he runs, or why he's running? So I wrote that song probably in about a day or two. And then as I'm listening to the song and, you know, people are listening to it, I got a lot of questions. And the questions were mainly, is the song about you, or is it someone that you know? Kind of where did that come about? And then I started to break down the lyrics, and I'm going, man, I think subconsciously I wrote a song about me at that time frame when I wrote the song years and years ago, because I was a runner. You know, I didn't know what I wanted, and then when I got what I wanted, I got scared of it. So I would just bounce.
I'll be your gypsy, baby, and I can never stay. 'Cause all I've ever known is how to run away.